AI. It's everywhere, right? Automating our playlists, optimizing our commutes. Heck, it might even be writing this very podcast script. But don't tell anyone.
But governing,
Yep.
as in actually shaping how society functions. That's where today's deep dive takes us. AI governance, Quebec style.
We're jumping into the world of Canadian tech policy today with this fascinating article from Data Llama. It's like, the cool kids tech blog. The article is called, get this, Du nouveau sur la gouvernance de l'IA au Québec. And before you scramble for Google Translate, don't worry. We've got the insights translated and ready to go.
We'll unpack not just what these guidelines say, but why they matter to you, even if the only French you speak is bonjour.
So big picture. Quebec's government just released a set of ethical guidelines for how it will use AI.
Now, before you imagine robots in Parliament, remember this isn't just about Android assistants. This is about any technology using AI to make decisions that impact people's lives.
And what's interesting here is that Quebec is not alone. The European Union is developing its own AI Act, and other countries are grappling with similar questions. This highlights a growing global trend. Governments are recognizing that they need to be proactive in shaping how AI is used.
It's like the Wild West of tech out there.
Yeah,
And everyone's trying to figure out the rules of the game, right?
precisely. And it's interesting you mention rules because Quebec isn't exactly starting from scratch. They've been thinking about this for a while. Remember the Montreal Declaration from back in 2018? It laid out some early principles for ethical AI development, showing they've been ahead of the curve on this.
It's like they had a crystal ball, saw the AI boom coming and thought, okay, we need a plan.
Yeah.
But what's the big deal here? Why should we, as, non-Canadians, care about what Quebec's doing?
That's a crucial question. These guidelines, while specific to Quebec, offer a glimpse into how governments are trying to find the balance between fostering innovation and upholding ethical standards. This is relevant to all of us because it raises fundamental questions about the kind of future we're building with AI. What comes to mind for you when you hear the term ethical AI? What values do you think are important to protect?
That's a great question. And it's something, honestly, a lot of governments are wrestling with right now. So how does Quebec propose we build this ethical AI future? Well, their guidelines lay out 10 core principles. Think of them as a kind of ethical checklist for any AI the Quebec government develops or uses. Okay, so Quebec's version of the 10 Commandments for AI. What made it onto the stone tablet?
Well, they cover a lot of ground,
Mhm.
but we can group them into a few key themes. The first emphasizes, I'd say, fundamental rights and responsibilities. We're talking principles like respecting the law, which, as you can imagine, gets complicated quickly when you're talking about AI, that can learn and evolve.
Right, it's not like they can just program in the entire legal code and call it a day.
Exactly. And that's where principles like security and responsibility come in. These highlight the importance of protecting data, preventing misuse, and establishing clear lines of accountability for AI systems.
It's like, if something goes wrong, we need to know who's holding the digital reins.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that links to another key theme, transparency and trust. Principles like transparency and explainable AI reflected a desire for citizens to understand how AI is being used by their government. It's about avoiding the black box scenario, where even the developers can't fully explain why an AI made a certain decision.
It's like, imagine going to court and the AI judge is like, you're found guilty. And you're like, okay, but why? And the AI is all error 404, explanation not found. Not exactly reassuring.
Not at all. And that's why explainable AI is so important. It's about making sure these systems are accountable and understandable, even as they become more complex.
So we've got the legal and ethical bedrock covered. And we're lifting the veil on the AI decision-making process. What else is in the mix?
Well, the guidelines also address the practical impact of AI. Principles like inclusion and fairness highlight the need to ensure AI systems don't perpetuate or exacerbate existing inequalities. This is huge E, because if we're not careful, AI could actually amplify biases we're trying to eliminate.
It's like, we don't want to create an algorithm that's accidentally discriminatory.
Exactly. And then there's efficiency, effectiveness, and relevance. This isn't just about making sure AI works technically, but ensuring it actually makes government services better and more efficient, and that it's used strategically, where it's truly needed.
No AI-powered staplers, then.
Probably not a top priority. Finally, the guidelines also take a long-term view, with principles like sustainability and competence. These emphasize the importance of considering the environmental impact of AI, ensuring we're not solving problems today by creating bigger ones tomorrow.
It's like thinking, hey, will this awesome AI still be awesome in 10 years? Or will it have accidentally melted the polar ice caps?
Right. It's about considering the bigger picture, and
Yeah.
competence underscores the need for ongoing training and education. It's not enough to just have the technology.
Yeah.
People need to understand how to use it responsibly and ethically.
So it's like we can give the government a shiny new AI toolbox, but if they don't know how to use a digital screwdriver, that's a problem.
Exactly. It's about building a culture of responsible AI use from the ground up.
Okay, so we've got these 10 principles, but they're all pretty high level, right? How do these translate to the real world? What does it actually look like to put these into practice? It's a bit like baking a cake, right? You can have a recipe with all the best ingredients, but the proof is in the eating. So how does Quebec actually plan to implement all of this?
That's where it gets really interesting. These guidelines aren't just a list of lofty ideals, they're meant to be operational. The article mentioned that Quebec is developing practical tools and resources to help government agencies actually implement these principles.
So like a handbook for ethical AI development.
Exactly. Think of it as a guide for navigating the complexities of AI in a responsible way. They're even talking about creating specialized committees to oversee AI projects and ensure they align with these principles.
So it's not just, here are the rules, good luck.
Uh,
They're building in actual support and oversight.
that's the idea. And remember how we talked about Quebec's approach being a potential model for others? Well, this practical, hands-on approach is what makes it so compelling. It's one thing to have principles, it's another to actually put them into action.
It's like anyone can talk the talk, but Quebec is walking the AI ethics walk.
Exactly. And that's why this matters, even if you're not planning to move to Quebec anytime soon. This could be the start of something much bigger, a global shift toward more responsible AI governance.
Okay, so last question, and it's a big one. If this does become the norm, what challenges do we need to watch out for? What could trip us up along the way?
That's the million-dollar question. And honestly, there's no easy answer. One challenge will be keeping these guidelines relevant and adaptable. AI is constantly evolving. What seems cutting edge today might be outdated tomorrow.
So we need to build in some flexibility, make sure these principles can keep up with the AI Joneses.
Absolutely. And we need to ensure that these guidelines don't stifle innovation. Finding that sweet spot between regulation and fostering creativity will be crucial.
Right, we don't want to regulate AI into a digital box, right?
Exactly. And ultimately, it all comes down to this. Technology is a tool. It's up to us to decide how we use it, the values we embed in it, and the future we build with it.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners today? What should they be pondering as they go about their AI-infused lives?
I think the biggest takeaway is this. The conversation about AI isn't just for tech experts or policymakers anymore. It's a conversation we all need to be a part of. As AI plays an increasingly significant role in our lives, it's crucial for us to engage with the ethical implications and advocate for the kind of future we want to see.
So next time you're talking to your smart speaker, maybe ask it about its thoughts on AI ethics. On that note, this has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of AI governance. A huge thank you to our expert for guiding us through this complex landscape. And to our listeners, if you want to learn more about this topic, head over to DATA LAMA. We'll drop the link in the show notes. Until next time, keep asking those big questions and keep diving deeper.